live Mondays with me, AmandaMuse, and it's gorgeous out there. I feel like these are the last days of summer and we just need to soak it in. So I'm excited to be chatting with you guys today, and I want to talk all about confidence, self-confidence, just owning it as a human of the earth. And so I'm excited to get into this with you guys today. So let's see, are we live? I think we are. Hi friends, and welcome back to AmandaMuse. I'm Amanda, and today we're going to be talking about self-confidence. Hey, you're here, yay! I'm going to pull up the video so that I can see all your comments. But yeah, we're going to talk self-confidence, how to own it. I think the way that we phrased it on Facebook was how to be a badass, and it's like, yeah, let's talk about this a little bit because I get a lot of comments about that, and yay, Heather, you caught me live. Awesome. All right, let me pull up the video here. We're a one-man show today, so bear with me. Oh, there it is, there it is. Let's make sure we're on silent, otherwise I get to hear myself talking. If you're watching the replay, just give me a second. We're gonna get into it. Don't go anywhere. Yay, here you are. Okay. Hi, Spring. You know who you are, the first comment. Good morning, Josie. Hey, Krista. Madiha, hello, hello. Ooh, cleaning the kitchen. You know what, yesterday I deep cleaned the fridge. I just keep opening the fridge, looking at the glorious fridge that is beautiful and clean. Anyone else do that? It's so awful to sit down and do, but damn, it's satisfying. Hello, hello. Oh, thanks, Just Jaren. Thank you. She says she loves me. I love you too. And the positivity that I emit, which I'm not always positive, but talking about, hey Lola, talking about confidence, I find when I come and do a live video, there's a lot of energy that's needed just because it's live, you have to think on your feet, and I will just often throw on some tunes, and I just finally got Spotify Premium. I'm very excited about this. This is not sponsored, but worth mentioning. I'm pretty cheap a lot of the time. So anyway, I got it. And yeah, I'm excited because now I can play all the music I like. So right now I really I'm a sucker for top hits of things, and I really like that, oh my gosh, Maroon 5, What Lovers Do. Let me tell you, that gets me going. And Dua Lipa, is that her name? New Rules or something like that? You think I would know these things. But anyway, let's see here. Just doing a couple things on the video. I want to know from you guys. I'm gonna ask you a question first today. So how do you, if you were to rate your confidence, your self-confidence on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being super badass, biatch, superhuman, what would you rate yourself? And it's okay to give yourself a 10, seriously. So I'm curious, what would you rate yourself? Scale of 1 to 10, self-confidence. I want to see, how would I rate myself? I think, because it does vary from day to day, but I think averagely speaking, my dog is also deciding to eat her breakfast at 1:20 in the afternoon. Well done, Nora. I want to give myself an 8.5. I think I'm a pretty confident woman. I haven't always been that way, but I definitely am now. Oh, a 6. I'm seeing Krista's commented a 6. Let's see. Got to get back to the video. And I'm curious, second question number 2, what is it about yourself, let's say, that you feel is what drops it down a notch? Is it a physical attribute that you feel you're not confident about? Is it something? I'm just curious, because I'm wondering, as women especially, and if you are a man watching this, I would love to know as well, not to exclude, but I find for me, my confidence comes from 2 things. One, I'm gonna be totally vulnerable with you guys, but the first one is education, because I didn't finish university, and it's just always irked me, and I feel if I'm in a situation where I feel I'm not up to par with somebody's education, I feel a little bit, I get a little bit wobbly. I love how Joanna, from Nesting Story, talks about things as a wobbly plate, and I think that's genius. So there's that one. And then other times it's a physical thing. I feel I'm maybe put on a little bit of weight, or I'm not feeling myself. And those are definitely the things that I would say I struggle with a little bit. So let's see. I want to see some of your answers here. Okay, wow, some of them are kind of low. Gotta say, it makes me a little bit sad. Okay, Madiha, 7. Love it. Krista, 6. Naomi, a 5. Iram, a 5. Oh, really? Spring Gidenisify. I never say that right, but I love how you comment on every video, by the way. I think you have to tell me how long you've been watching, because I feel like it's been ages. But number 4, she's the worst self-confidence. She gives herself a 4. Madiha was saying it's actually increased after becoming a mom. I am with you on that page. I think that I really struggled with my confidence before I had children. And I think about it a lot when I lived in Vancouver. So I lived in Vancouver from the ages of like 21 to 25. Yeah, like I think I turned 21 in Vancouver, I'm not sure. But those were pretty formative years, I think, in an adult's life, especially as a young woman. And it's interesting, some of the decisions that we make based on how we feel at that time. And in that time, I chose a different path. Like I chose not to finish school. And in the end, it all worked out, because what I do now, I think you can go to school for, but I think that there's a lot more support for this entrepreneurial type of mindset, which I know I've always had, but I've only gained confidence of that in the last few years. That was a really backward sentence, but I hope that made sense. But after I became a mom, I feel like, we kind of touched on this in my live with Dean, but it was like, I think Documented Journey, she watches a lot of this, but she said, it really wakes you up becoming a mom. And it was like, yes, it's almost like you realize, it sort of sets you on a path, and not everybody will that happen to when they become a mother, but for me, it really was. Like, I felt like it was very clear what I wanted to see happen. It was very clear the type of woman I wanted to be for my children, for my husband, for myself. And I realized that all of that fell on me, and that, whether it's taking responsibility for things that happen in your life or being accountable for things, it's just like it all comes back to you. And so you really can't control anybody else or how they're going to respond to you. You can only control yourself. And so it was like, well, I'm not going to sit here and have low confidence about my body, for example, because those people over there don't like it. Those people over there don't really affect me, right? It's like I am the one who has to look in the mirror. I'm the one who has to carry myself around. And once I sort of established like what my morals were, like my belief system, and all of those things I think really come into play when you think about your confidence. Yes. So a newbie said, I think I'm a 9.5. I think there's room for improvement. Yes, I love it. And to me, confidence is just like the most attractive thing that a person can wear. Because don't you feel like for me personally, I gravitate towards that. Because oftentimes, and not arrogance, not to be confused with arrogance, because it's like self-confidence, wit, even a little bit of sarcasm, like that is like my favorite kind of balance of a person. Tends to be the people I hang around. Kylie was saying probably a 7 on average, Lola 7.5, Tanya a 5, improving slowly, was around a 2 a few months ago. Girl, I thank you for sharing that, because I can appreciate that must be pretty difficult to just kind of like write down, because it can be really hard. And I have to say, right after I had my daughter, it's not like that confidence kicked in. So if you're in those new stages of parenting, give it some time. I feel like it got easier and easier. And then especially once I had my second child, it was like, yeah, I got this parenting thing. Like, I know how to make this work. I know how to keep people alive. I know how to like make this happen for me. And I feel like I sort of grew into it and tried not to be a roadblock for myself, because I see that happen a lot where successes will come their way or opportunities will come their way. And I don't know if it's a self-confidence thing, but something happens where they stop it. They're almost like they stop their own success. I'm always like shaking my head at that, which is probably why I say yes to everything, because I never want to miss an opportunity, even when it scares the crap out of me. Seriously. Heather was saying, my confidence rating depends on if I'm rating myself as a mom, a wife, an employee, etc. It's all different. Oh, and Alex was saying the same thing. Seriously depends on the situation. That's a really interesting perspective, because it's true. It does depend, which is probably why when I said at the beginning, like sometimes I think about things in terms of like how do I feel about my body versus how I feel about myself as, a contributor of the earth, like whether it's education-wise or work-wise. Yay, Andre says, finally got a live video. Woohoo! Body confidence. Okay, that was what we're talking about in terms of like when we think about confidence, what we're talking about. Nicole is up feeding her 2-week-old. Oh, wow. Congratulations. 2 weeks. Those are fresh days. So glad I can catch you live. I'm glad too. Let's see here. Jessica was saying, confidence has honestly dropped a bit after having my baby, but I feel it rising. And I think, Jessica, if I'm not mistaken, you just have one little one right now, right? And I think that's true. It's like you're sort of finding your footing again, right? In terms of like, who am I? What role is this? It's a new hat that you're having to wear. And I think that that's totally normal. And I feel like you do go through that in each stage. And I will go through more, you know, as I go. Right now, I got to say, I feel pretty good about things. I feel like I also think that I give myself a lot of grace. So it's funny, my mom was visiting this weekend. You guys, if you saw the last video on Friday, I did a live with her. Lots of lives lately, sorry. But we did a live together, and we talked to, I don't know if we spoke about this on the video, but we definitely talked about it this weekend, where, you know, about comparison. Or, you know, my mom was saying, like, as a new mom with young kids, she felt really compelled to keep the house like super tidy all the time. And I don't really remember that as a kid, to be honest. I remember our house being clean for sure, but I don't remember her freaking out about it. Okay, occasionally I do. That's truthful. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait a second. But she compared herself to people in her life who were stay-at-home moms. So my mom always worked outside of the home. She still works now. She's a hard-working lady, and she's always had really not high-stress jobs, but like in the administrative world. And now she's in project management, and so lots of like thinking about stuff all day and paperwork and all of that. So she worked all day, her 8-hour day, and then would come home and dinner and homework and bedtime and bath time and all that stuff. So I think it's unrealistic to compare yourself to other people who aren't in the same position and go, why can't I get everything done if they can, right? So I definitely give myself grace in that regard. But something that I certainly struggle with is like, when you think about my life as a YouTuber and growth and numbers and all of that. So I recently shared over on AmandaMuse Facebook page this really interesting video by Tim Schmoyer. And if you haven't seen it, if I remember, I will link it below. But it's a really interesting video where he talks about, and perhaps I'm going off tangent talking about like work related stuff, but I won't be long. But he talks about knowing your audience and how like try not to compare yourself to other people. And as YouTube is my job, that's really hard for me to do. Like I struggle with that because it's like you're looking at other people and you're thinking, well, if I just made that video, then I would be super successful. Or if I just went and took that path, then I would be super successful. But we all have a different role. We all have different audiences. And it's really important to understand how that little piece works, right? Like that whole concept of like stay in your lane and understand like that there's certain things you can't change and that you can't be comparing yourself all the time. So that comparison probably comes back to like body stuff and how we feel about our bodies. If, you know, when I was living in Southeast Asia, I'm a 5'8" Western woman with Western curves. I had a very hard time shopping for clothes in some of the stores because they're a much smaller build, a lot of the Southeast Asian women. And so like I would come back to Canada, oh girl, and especially when I was pregnant, I was massive. TMI, but I remember trying to buy a bra when I was newly pregnant. I mean, I hardly showed in my stomach, but I was carrying enough chest around, let me tell you. And this sweet little lady in the changing room was like trying to shove me in this thing, this bra. And I was like, lady, I don't know what to tell you. Like I am who I am. And I think that same thought process can be applied to like how we look at ourselves and how that comparison is just, it truly is like the thief of joy. And that comes back to how to be a badass is just like, stay in your lane, you know your worth and own it. And that's what I really try to do. Like, I try not to think about so much what other people are going to think about me. I try to have strong morals and respect people and go about things in a way that's like, I truly am just I'm trying to live my best life, and I really want other people to do the same, and I encourage others to do that. Because I feel like if we're on a path where we're just trying to do our best, and if other people are trying to do their best, chances are we're not really trying to hurt each other very much or intentionally. So that was a long ramble. Let me see some of the comments here. Amy being mom, she stopped by. She's going to go watch from the start. You are so sweet. Let's see here. Let's see. Andrew was saying, tuning in from your mom's house. Oh, thanks. That was repulsive, but kind of funny. My mom's at work, so you can't get her. Let's see here. Let me put him in a timeout. Stand by, because I am a mama. I'm going to put people in their timeouts. Debbie was saying, we are all unique in different ways, so that helps me to remember I can't compare myself. Absolutely. Yeah, Karen. Bye, Andrew. Bye, Felicia. But you're right. It's like that comparison part where that is where if you ever feel low, like you ever feel whether it's hormonal or you feel tired or you just feel like you're having a day, on those days, I try to do a few things where I try not to, like, I won't necessarily go on Facebook and start scrolling, or I won't go into Instagram and start scrolling. I will just acknowledge my mood and my moment, and I'll stop and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go and have like a cup of coffee and watch my favorite show or do something I really like to do. You know, sometimes Dean will note that I'm in a mood and he'll be like, you know what? Why don't you just go to the mall, do something that you like? Go for coffee, get a manicure, whatever you want to do. Because we can be so swayed by this perception of what everyone else is doing. And I think it's like owning yourself a little bit, right? So that comparison part always comes back to me for self-confidence, because like if you start to feel low, don't make it worse and watch things that make you feel even worse about your life, right? It's like surround yourself with that positivity so that you can hopefully like keep yourself up a little bit, you know? Let's see here. Oh, Lindsay Newberry was saying, yes, she's pregnant in Guatemala and all the women here are so tiny. It's so hard. Totally. People would ask me if I was ready to give birth long before I was due to give birth. Let me tell you that much. Crazy. Yay, there's a bunch of people who just made it to the live. Love it. Hold on here. Did I block? Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Makita was saying she's chiming in from Spain. I love your videos. They're so inspirational and they always make my day. You're so down to earth and honest and it's wonderful. Keep doing what you do. And I think the one thing before, because I know I can ramble, but probably what I wanted to do is also clear up a few things. Because I think sometimes, you know, when people watch my videos, whether it be friends in my life or family, some people will say like, you give off an air that, you know, you have a lot of confidence or that you're always confident all the time. And that's not true. Like, I am just as vulnerable to feeling sad or feeling low or feeling like I don't fit into my nice favorite jeans anymore. Like all the same things that can really like hit us hard and really knock us down a few pegs, not in a good way when it comes to self-confidence. And, you know, especially in the land of YouTube. And I saw an interesting comment the other day, or I should say social media, not specific to YouTube. But I saw a comment the other day. I was following a friend on Instagram. Sometimes I'll read the comments underneath. Who doesn't, right? It's fun to see how communities kind of come together. And my friend, she collects thrifted things and her house is so cute. And it's like all these really nice thrifted things. And a friend of hers commented and said, I love your feed, you know, in a land of everything being super gray and whitewashed and perfect on Instagram, seeing colors from you really brightens my day. And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically that to compare or to constantly strive for this idea of perfection is really unhealthy. And for me, that's the biggest tip of being confident and owning it, is realizing like you're just trying to live your best life. Like comparing yourself, things always having to be perfect is unrealistic. And I think you're really setting yourself up for failure. And that's something that I couldn't be perfect on Instagram even or anywhere, even if I tried, because it's so hard and I don't have the energy for it. You know what I mean? So it's like if I'm in a crappy mood, I likely won't post a video. So when people watch my content, it's like, oh, you're always cheerful, you're always in a good mood. Ask Dean, that's not the case, you know? And so I think it's just knowing yourself. So I think the reason why we probably get confident as we go through life is there's all those experiences that come together, those cumulative experiences that make you realize like, you're just trying to do your best, right? You surround yourself with good people. You try to feed yourself well, do things that your heart loves. Remember that, you know, the days may seem long, but the years are short. And it's like, it catches up to you. And I find myself lately thinking about like my legacy and how I just want to be remembered by my family. And I feel like it all comes together. This might be a little long-winded and I apologize, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, let's see, Nichelle was saying, I think in a world where it's clear we compare, that when we post things, we should keep others in mind, stay real, and stop giving off the wrong impression. Absolutely. A newbie was saying, yes, never ever think perfection exists. This is exactly what I meant. Yes. Eclectic Alu was saying, yes, well said, I agree with you. Please, no more perfection. It's not real and it's boring. And I often like, whenever I feel myself in a mood, and I know a lot of you guys, like I know a lot of you create content as well on YouTube, other moms who are trying to do this as well. I often think like, remember you're documenting your life. And that is what I do. Not everybody does that. Some people do DIYs. Some people it's like cleaning content. Some people it's fashion, you know. But for me specifically, in this time of life, for me to make this work seamlessly with my life, it has to be documenting. I cannot be like making stuff up. I don't have the time for it, right? You guys know, if you follow me on Insta stories, like you see my real life. Yeah, so it's, even though sometimes I have all these aspirations, it's like, girl, stay in your lane. Like you are who you are, and that's what people like about you. And sometimes when you try so hard to be something else, it comes across and it's just not gonna work. And being relatable is really just because you're being yourself, right? So it's not like this, you're not doing it to be relatable, you just are relatable because you're a human being, right? So, let's see here. Lindsay was saying, has Esme ever made any body image comments? I'm sure you're such a good example to her. Pregnant with a girl here now, scary. Oh yeah. I find I get my little like mama bear antennas up when somebody else makes a comment. So it's not intentional, but someone had said something like, oh, Esme, you're so skinny. I was like, no, she's not. My girl is strong. Like she can do flips on the trampoline and she can run super fast and look at those muscles, right? Like I try to position it because our words are so powerful. So that's something I try to be very aware of. And sometimes my kids will like smack my butt and go, mama has a big booty or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I do, work it. And like, I have fun with it. And I'll play like, I like big butts or something like that song. And I think it's just, I'm never like wounded. I'm like, yeah, I do. And it'll all be yours one day, Esme. You know, and I try, that's my nature, of course. I'm a bit of a goof. But yeah, Anubi was saying, I always think life is too short, so make the most of it. Actually, when I look back at memories, it's the imperfections that make the memory so memorable. Totally. Karen was saying, any advice for being confident in a new job? Yeah, I think just appreciate your worth. Like why they hired you is why you're there, and own that. And you can't be good at everything, but you're going to be good at what they hired you for. So work it. I have something coming up. Hopefully I'll have a really fun announcement soon. If not, we'll just pretend I didn't say this. But I'm like really nervous about it because it's totally out of my comfort zone. But of course I say yes, and of course I'll do it because you don't know what's gonna come of it, right? And they hired you for a reason, and it's like always come back to that. Whether it's like taking a power stance, you know, like looking in the mirror, like I got this. But I did see a really interesting thing. Did I see it on Facebook? I see all sorts of things on the internet, but they were talking about like when you're waiting for a new job or you're going for a job interview or just like being friends with people, like put your phone down, because when you pick up your phone, you automatically take a very like not very strong look about you. Like you kind of hunch over and your face is like in your phone. And they say, but when you don't, you're just looking straight forward, like you give off an air of strength and confidence. And that is kind of what you're going for. Yeah, so Madiha was saying, I agree so much with you on that one. My son is skinny and I get that. Is he healthy? I shut them down then and there. Absolutely. And you are your child's advocate, right? Like if you aren't going to say something, no one will. And so I've said it before, and I know we've talked about this live videos and stuff, but like I would rather have an awkward conversation now than be dealing with all sorts of issues later. And things will happen. And just because I say and do one thing doesn't mean I'm going to prevent body issues in my daughter. And when that time comes, I'm also not going to beat myself up if something happens beyond my control. You know, it's like life is hard, man, to navigate. Let me tell you that much. I like having you guys to talk to and bounce stuff off of, that's for sure. Let's see here. There was one. And Andre was saying, being your genuine self, what you strive for, not perfection. Oh yeah. And sometimes being alone with yourself and alone with your thoughts can be a really scary place, but you got to start, right? And then I feel like once you get used to your own company, life gets easier, I promise, I swear. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna wrap it up because the day is whipping by and I got things to do. So, and I know you guys do too, so I really appreciate all of you tuning in and leaving your comments. I also can't wait for the day where YouTube takes all of the live comments and actually puts them once the video is published, because it makes me so sad. I see all these great comments and I can't get to them all. And then it goes published and I don't see them anymore. So hopefully one day. Anyhow, that's it, you guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday and a great start to the week. I'll see you live tomorrow if you want over on Facebook. Definitely in the same theme. We're going to be talking about trying new things and fear and how certain things can hold us back. So if that's interesting to you, Facebook /Muse Amanda. All right, guys, keep it real, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.